Hello everybody. I'm Dr. Sohanur Rahman from the School of Accountancy in Queensland University of Technology, and today I'll be speaking about some of my research findings, academic research findings on green innovation, and the title of my presentation is the Payoffs of Green Innovation. Okay, so first of all, I would like to thank Matthew and the Symposium team for inviting me to speak here. And I begin today by respectfully acknowledging the Turrbal and Yagar as the First Nation owners of the land where we meet today, and pay my respect to their elders, both past and present. Okay, so I have been already informed to wrap it up in 15 minutes. So I'll try to just sum up my briefly discuss my research findings. Okay, so today is 21st of November, right, 2025, and today is the concluding day of United Nations Climate Change Conference, COP30, okay, beginning from 10th of November. So this event is exactly after 10 years from the Paris Agreement in 2015. And if we want to sum up the different titles of different sessions of this COP30, we can say like the kind of the slogan of that event is kind of real world or real climate action to mitigate this climate change problem, decarbonization, or this kind of energy transitions. So my previous speakers have already touched on some of my discussions that I'm going to talk about. All right, so Laurent Fabius, the former COP21 president, who actually organized or was one of the key leaders in Paris Agreement, he has already mentioned, like, if I would like to sum up the goal of COP30 with 3 I's, there is the implementation, inclusion, and innovation. So my research is relevant to the last word, that is the innovation. How the green innovation can play a key role in decarbonization or the energy transitions. Okay. So why the COP30 is focusing more on the real action to mitigate this kind of climate change problem? We already know like what to do, how to do, but we need actually real action. So for example, already there has been a consensus, right, to how much carbon we need to reduce by 2050. What are the different kinds of rules and regulations? Different countries have different kinds of rules and regulations, even at the national level, like carbon pricing policy, like carbon tax, emissions trading scheme. But we need to reach that target. We need to achieve that target. And here, for that kind of achievement, we need an integrated approach. Technological innovation is one of the, can play a key role in that kind. Definitely it should be an integrated approach from different stakeholders, different kinds of activities, but green innovation can play a big role here. So for my research, if I want to highlight one of the key concepts of my today's presentation is green innovation. What does it mean by green innovation? We have already discussed about green innovation. So green innovation is a technological innovation that materially enhances environmental quality, or it can reduce the environmental impact. Okay. So since this is my academic research, I have used some citations, and this green innovation, it includes green products or processes that are involved in energy conservation, renewable energy development, pollution control or prevention, waste recycling, green product design, or even the environmental management system. And my research is based on US context or US data, but it is relevant to any economy, irrespective of market size or different kinds of stakeholders. So for my research, to measure green innovation, I have used the green patent data from the US Patent and Trademark Office, USPTO. Okay. So first of all, again, I would like to show you just one example of green invention or green patented product. What does it mean, or how does it look like, or what kind of product gets this kind of green patent? So this is an example of Zinc5, a US private company that has invented that nickel zinc battery technology. And they have got a green patent for this kind of invention. Why it is a green? They have got a green patent for this kind of invention because it has some environmental benefit. So for example, it has very low level of life cycle carbon emissions. It has used, there is no toxic heavy metals. They have also used recyclable materials, and also definitely energy efficient. Okay, and this kind of invention is useful for a transition to energy efficient approach. So different companies, I'm talking about, my research is about the corporate innovation. So innovation, it could be at the individual level or at the corporate level. So my research is based on the corporate innovation in the US context. And I would like to give you a snapshot of my green patent data, like what kind of data is available for this kind of research. So if you look at here, I have just taken the top 15 green innovation in terms of market value. You might ask, what does it mean by market value of green innovation? So the market value, if you look at here, this market value of green innovation has been calculated by Cognitel based on the market reaction, stock market reaction to a green patent issue. Okay, so what is the market return around, for example, surrounding that stock market return around 3 days of that issue date. So these are the top 15 market value green patent since 2000 to 2023. Okay, and the top one is the green innovation by Tesla. And if you look at here, it will also give us the idea like how long it takes to have a green patent issued. So if you see here, for that one, the first one, filing date of that kind of green patent, so they applied for that patent in 2019 and they got the patent in 2023. And if you also look at the filing date and issue date of different kinds of green patents, here you will see it takes a kind of long time. Sometimes on an average it takes 3 to 4 years, but depending on the complexity, legal issues, it might take more than 3-4 years. Sometimes the process could be very fast as well. And also if you look at here, the patent owner, who are the patent owner? Who are these kind of innovators? You see, most of the companies are the utility companies, Chevron or ExxonMobil corporations. So they are one of the largest contributors to this kind of global emissions because of their involvement with that fossil fuel based energy and all these kind of operations. So they are also active in green innovations. Okay. All right, so now I'll talk about my research on green innovation. So whatever I'm going to present in a couple of slides, it's not just from only one slide, it's a kind of from a number of my research that has that green innovation variable, okay? So for example, as I mentioned, why do these corporations need to do this kind of innovations? Why corporations? Why we are talking about corporations? Yes, everybody, each of us has the responsibility to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. But corporate organizations, they are one of the largest contributors to this global warming, climate change problem. At the same time, they have the resources. If they want, they have the resources to take this kind of initiative to reduce emissions. Okay? So they are the contributors, and if they can be proactive, sometimes not proactive, sometimes it's reactive because of the different kinds of rules and regulations, but they have the resources to reduce these emissions. And if we want to achieve that ambitious Paris Agreement goal, like to reach that net zero emissions by 2050, definitely corporations must play a big role here. Okay, so here green innovation is kind of one of the environmental proactivity that can be used by the company to reduce reduce global warming. At the same time, why the organizations will do green innovation if there is no economic return? Because stakeholders, they don't care not only climate change, but they also care about the dividend. They also need to know what will be my economic return. Okay, definitely different stakeholders have different kinds of appetite. Maybe I am more environmental concerned, but you might not be. But if we can highlight that, if the company have this kind of green innovation that can be useful to mitigate global climate change, at the same time it has some economic return for the investors like shareholders or creditors, then the process, we can say, it could be a little bit smoother. Okay, so here I will show you like definitely green innovation is useful for climate change problem, but at the same time it is valued by different kinds of stakeholders like creditors or investors or even regulators. For example, this is one of my research findings from that, and the paper has already been actually published in Energy Economics. So here I have shown like how the credit market value green innovation. So for example, if the companies have that kind of green patents, it is valued by the credit investors or the lenders. And it is reflected in the CDS spread, that credit default swap, or to put it simply, like we can say, like for example, the cost of debt is much lower for the firms who are active in green innovations. Okay, and if the firms have green innovation, sometimes the company needs to convey this message to the market. And if the firm have that kind of disclosures, environmental disclosures, through which they can portray their activities in terms of innovation, it is valued by the market. So that's why you can see here, firm provided disclosures can play a big role in reducing the spread. So lower the spread is better for the firm. Okay, and also, even if it is valued by the company, like the firms have a very good innovation, good innovative firm, but if there is any adverse disclosures by the media, even if you are very proactive in innovation, it is also considered by the, or it is valued by the, negatively valued by the credit investors. So that's why you can see here, involuntary disclosures, or we can say the disclosures by the media or the external party, it can adversely affect that CDS spread. Okay, and also I also have some very detailed econometric analysis, but I would just like to highlight some aspect of my this analysis, because here I used a quasi-natural experiment DIG test, and here I used an event, that is the Green Technology Pilot Program by the USPTO. So USPTO, that is US Patent and Trademark Office, they launched a pilot program to accelerate the green patent approval process. So as I highlighted, like it takes a kind of a long time to get this kind of green patent issued, and they launched a program in December 2009, and that duration of that pilot program was initially for 1 year, and they got kind of more than around 4,000 applications or filings for the petition for that green patent, and within two years they issued more than 85% of the green patent. And I used that event for that as a part of my quasi-natural experiment, and it shows like, yeah, this, if the company has green patents, it actually is useful to reduce the CDS spread for the firms who were successful in green innovation during that period. Okay, and again, this is another research findings. It's a kind of like, if the firms have green innovation, it is valued not only by the creditors, it is also useful for the firms to reduce their perceived political risk. So political risk coming from the regulators or the policymakers. So if the firms are exposed more to different kinds of rules and regulations or policy making decisions, they have a higher level of political risk. So if the firms have a greater level of green innovation, it is useful to reduce this kind of political risk. And if the political risk is higher, it becomes very costly for the firms from the economic perspective, because then the firms become more active in political lobbying, donations, and that's how their resources are diverted from their core operations to some political activities. Sometimes those activities are not value enhancing for the shareholders. Okay, and again, I use the same setting for my quasi-natural experiment, that is the US Patent and Trademark Office Green Technology Pilot Program. And another work in process paper where I'm also examining like how the green innovation can play a big role in reducing the greenwashing activity of the firms. So greenwashing means companies are claiming more in terms of environmental performance or environmental achievements than their real performance. Okay, so this is kind of work in process paper, but initially preliminary, we can say I have already found that firms with higher level of green innovation, they are characterized with lower level of greenwashing. All right, so definitely I have some academic contributions, but the implications of my research findings is kind of green innovation it's already established in the academic literature at the works from the policy level organizations like green innovation is useful for the climate change, but at the same time green innovation is useful from the economic perspective. Again, definitely green innovation it requires a huge amount of investment. Okay, but if the companies can integrate this kind of policy and they can internalize this green innovation activity, it will be useful for their stakeholders, for their financial performance, and also it has the implications for the farm management, because farm management, they need to take the decisions, resource allocation decision, like how much they should invest in innovation, how much they should invest in some other political activities. So they can think about the trade-off between these green innovation and non-green innovation activities and how they should allocate these resources to this kind of activities. So this is kind of the patent classification. I use the US patent utility codes to identify which patents are exactly the green patents and which are not. And that's it. That's all. Thank you so much.